Just kind of peeking ahead, man, at the schedule for this season for the Georgia Bulldogs. Um, I'm a little bit relieved to see that Georgia's got a couple of cupcakes to start the season. I think that's helpful this season. Georgia has played so many opener big games. Um, I'm a little bit happy as a Georgia fan to let's just get the season started and let's get some things in motion. Let's work a couple things out, specifically offensively, right? Because we've seen Georgia in the past come out in some of those big season openers and really kind of lay an egg on offense. Now they've played some really good defenses, but I mean the defense is what carried Georgia through some of those victories. So I would like to see the offense be able to get their feet under them, score 50 points in a couple of those games. You know what I mean? Get some confidence and run through some things because week 3 you got Tennessee, and it's going to be at Tennessee. So I feel like that is it's obviously a big test for Georgia, but I feel like it is a turning point for Georgia's season one way or another. I think you win that game, you gather some momentum, you've got a week off immediately after, and then you're going to host Alabama at home. We all know what happened in that game last year. It was one of the craziest endings of a college football regular season game that I've ever seen. Definitely top 10, top 12, type game there. The big comeback by Georgia, who ended up losing at the last minute there. But then you've got, at Auburn in October that is interesting to me. I think Georgia has really kind of dominated Auburn over the last 20 years. So I think Georgia will be fine in that, but it's a game that kind of pokes out to me. But hosting Ole Miss in October, 1st of November, you're going to go to the neutral site game, obviously, in Jacksonville against Florida. But Texas in November, I think, is the biggest game on this schedule as far as the magnitude. Texas, I think, for everybody's money, is going to be the odds-on favorite to win the national championship this season, and or at least top 3. So obviously that'll be a big test for Georgia. Georgia dominated Texas last year. Georgia's defense dominated Texas last year. I mean, there's just no doubt about that. Can they do it again? It would be another. It would be very frustrating for the Texas Longhorns to be put in the chokehold like Georgia has put them in over the last couple games they've played. So that game, the intensity level is just going to be absolutely through the roof. What do you think about this schedule? Honestly, brother, I mean, Texas, Ole Miss, Alabama, Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the 4 that you really got to get up for. You got to make sure you're up for those. The rest of them, I'm not saying Georgia can roll their helmet out there and win them, but Georgia should be in good shape and should be a solid favorite in each of those games.
Yeah, but we said the same thing about the Georgia Tech game last year, and that was a nail biter that Georgia should have lost in
Yeah.
some cases. Florida was a game that was closer than it probably had to be. It would have been much closer had DJ Lagway not gone out. So this is the new SEC. Out of those 6 games that I would say there are 6 games: Tennessee, Alabama, Auburn, Florida, Texas, and Georgia Tech. Out of those 6, I think Georgia wins 4. So I've got Georgia at 10-2 on the year. I don't know which 4 they're going to win. I don't know which 2 they're going to lose. But I think the days of undefeated seasons in the SEC have come and gone. If I had to guess, I'd say Georgia's probably going to lose that Saturday in Neyland at Tennessee. It'll be a similar wake up call to the Alabama loss that they had last season early in the year. They get a bye to come off of that, and I think that everybody's going to be down on Georgia. And then they're gonna host Alabama and get the win that week against the Crimson Tide. And then you're probably going to lose one more somewhere. Maybe it's the Florida game. Maybe it's Texas. Maybe they finally get their win against Georgia and Kirby after losing 2 heartbreakers last year. But nonetheless, the schedule's not easy. I think Georgia fans are really excited about this schedule because of all the home games, the big home games that they get to play. but that doesn't make it any easier. This is another gauntlet of a schedule for the Georgia Bulldogs.
Yeah, it certainly is. Any schedule in the SEC these days is going to be a gauntlet, no doubt, but certainly easier than last year. I mean, the schedule is a whole lot easier than last year, considering all these places. Georgia's hosting all these teams. They were all at their stadium last year. Obviously, all that stuff flip flopped. So, and you don't have the big neutral site, or excuse me, you don't have the big non-conference opener to worry about as well. I think this schedule is much more manageable this season. I think Georgia is much more equipped to be able to handle it. Just looking at some of those teams that are on that list, Texas is, obviously at best a toss-up, right? I mean, because Texas is one of the best teams in the country, but I haven't seen enough from Nico Iamaleava to say that he's going to be able to go out there and beat a real national championship contender. So I think Georgia is right on track to be 10-2, 11-1 in the regular season in 2025. It's how far Georgia goes beyond that, winning an SEC title, going to a college football playoff, winning a college football playoff game. That is going to all depend on this Georgia offense that we have got so many questions about going forward after last season. It's going to be the offensive line. Can they establish a run game for this offense? And how does Gunnar Stockton look at the helm, at the wheel? He's going to be pushing all the buttons. Really, really excited to see it. If you're a Georgia fan, come hang out with us here at First and Long College Football Show. We're going to be talking Georgia all year, but we don't just talk Georgia. We talk all the big teams in the country. There's about 60 teams that we're going to talk a lot about this season over the course of the season and the remainder of the offseason. We want you to come and join us here on the First and Long College Football Show, your go-to source for everything college football from the Pacific to the Atlantic. We thank you so much for tuning in. Y'all have a great day.